Howdy, howdy, and welcome back. We are on yet another Workshop Wednesday. Today's topic is a getting started topic for those of you that are beginners. This will be perfect. And we're talking about the do's and don'ts of dashboard design. Now, before we go too far into this, my name is Chris Mercer. Welcome. I actually do go by Mercer. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should too. I'm the co-founder here at measurementmarketing.io. And whether you found us through podcasts or talks that we've given, maybe through some other platforms we work with like CXL Institute or Digital Marketer or Social Media Examiner or Measure Summit, or maybe you're already a member, whether a free Toolbox member at measurementmarketing.io and you've got your Toolbox account and enjoying all the tools over there, or you are a Measurement Marketing Academy member where you're really learning these skills. I am happy that you're here. Thanks again for joining us for Workshop Wednesday. It's our job to help people like you figure out how to use all these fancy tools. And today we're going to be talking in terms of dashboards, a little bit about Data Studio, of course, because we recommend Google Data Studio. It's a fantastic platform, but this is more overall like dashboard design tips to help you plan out better looking dashboards, etc. So we're going to go ahead and go forth with that. Now, as you're thinking through this training, remember how it fits in the context of things. There's the measurement marketing frameworks. That really is planning. So figure out what's important to plan. Then, and of course, dashboards are going to be super important. We'll be talking about that as we actually go through here. Then there's the idea of build out, where you're actually doing the build using Data Studio to maybe get the reports. Then there's the reporting where you're looking at the answers and you take your benchmarks that you get, all the answers you're getting from your dashboard. You start to forecast what your near future looks like. And then, of course, you measure against your forecast. And that's where optimization begins. That's how this whole thing works. Of course, with all of our trainings, we want to make sure you just focus on one thing, one new skill, because in this case, there's going to be a lot that's covered. So just take a couple of tips or maybe one tip that you can really practice and use, and do that. Practice it, use it, build the muscle, then come back and watch this again. You will pick up another new one thing. That is how you build skill without getting overwhelmed and frustrated by all the stuff that's out there, because I know what it's like. There's a ton of stuff with these platforms. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and officially get this party started. Getting started, the do's and don'ts of dashboard design. Now, we actually have a guest instructor, which is super exciting because she's actually an instructor. This is Julie Brade. She's our lead instructor at measurementmarketing.io. And she is an instructor. Those of you who are Measurement Marketing Academy members, you know that we do the Ask an Instructor support where you can ask us as your instructors questions. You can send over screenshots and videos, and we send over screenshots and videos back. And a lot of those are coming obviously from Julie, who does this stuff every day. In addition to helping out our members back there, she's also been teaching measurement marketing to private guided clients, our corporate clients, since 2017. She is an account manager for our dedicated measurement management clients, for those that we do the work for. And she is an absolute Data Studio rock star. Easy for me to say because she has done this for so long. And she just really knows the stuff. She handles all of our reportings. Everything I ever get, I just basically ask Julie for, and she rocks it out with her and her team. So I thought, this is perfect. She's going to basically go back and help you and say, listen, going back over time, all these Data Studio dashboards she's built, all these dashboards in general she's built, what does she recommend, right? What are her tips for getting started? And now that she knows what she knows, if she had to go back in time and kind of retrain this, what would she do? And so this is the do's and don'ts of dashboard design with our guest instructor, Julie Brade. So Julie, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in officially. Hopefully this whole thing works as I transfer things over. And thanks again for letting us know all about the do's and don'ts. Take it away.
You, Mercer, for that great introduction. So excited to go over the do's and don'ts of dashboard design with everyone here. We are going to learn how to create the dashboards that are useful and actionable. So everyone kind of hold on to those two words, useful and actionable. We're going to be kind of going through them a few times as we go through our workshop today. Before we get started, I do want to point out that this particular workshop of the do's and don'ts of dashboard design is not necessarily a how-to step-by-step with Google Data Studio or any of these other platforms that we're going to talk about. It's not really a step-by-step. We do have courses in the Measurement Marketing Academy. There is When Google Data Studio Dashboard Basics if you're just getting started, or if you need something a little bit more advanced, we have When Google Data Studio Dashboard beyond basics if you want to get and take your skills to another level. Both of those are in the Measurement Marketing Academy, and we are back there answering questions all the time for our members that are going through those courses, and we absolutely love seeing what they're creating after going through them. So let's go ahead and get started on the do's and don'ts of dashboard designs and how to create dashboards that are useful and actionable. As always, we are going to constantly keep in mind our 5 pillars of measurement marketing. As you might know, they are planning, building, reporting, forecasting, and optimizing. Why are we keeping these 5 in mind if we're in the reporting stage? Well, it's all going to come together in what we're doing today, and it's going to all come to light. So just kind of keep in mind as we're going through which one of these guys is showing their head. So the very first one, as always, is going to be planning, and that's going to take us to our very first don't and do duo. And that is, don't start without a plan and actually do map out where you want to go. What we see a lot, and actually what we have done ourselves, is we start going into Data Studio, and let's say we're in here and what we say, I want to add, I want to know this number here, and then I want to add a chart here, and and I need to know this in a pie chart. And quite literally, it will be a scatter of different elements and charts, and there really isn't any sort of flow, and it's hard to read. It's hard to see where your eyes are supposed to go. And I am not a designer or anything, but we have worked with our design team to help us with this particular thing. And what we have learned is you actually will make a lot fewer mistakes or having to redo things in Data Studio if you start out by mapping it out. So it kind of goes back to our say, don't start, building without a plan, map out where you want to go. We particularly really like Lucidchart. And with Lucidchart, I know there's all kind of other tools out there, and a lot of our other certified measurement marketers and other experts we talk to use other different tools. So find out what works best for you. We happen to use Lucidchart, and this is the way that we have been doing our dashboards for a while, and everyone on our team kind of does this. Mercer, myself, Sarah on our team who does a lot of our dashboards as well, and everyone on our team will do this. So what we'll kind of start with is say, okay, this is going to be the overall dashboard, and we'll say we need to put the client logo here. Client logo needs to go here. I want to be able to have a date filter here, and let's see, maybe I also want to be able to, well, that just copied everything. That's fun. How about we delete that part? Let's say date filter, and then we have also, let's say instead of a date filter here, we have an affiliate filter. So you want to be able to filter by the date, but you also want to be able to filter by the affiliate. And you know where these things are going to go. And then you say you also want to be able to have some sort of funnel flow. And so this can be the funnel, but you need to know what the traffic is doing. And so that's where you can be like, okay, this is going to be a table. So clearly I am just kind of running through and giving a very high level example. In a few weeks, in a future workshop, we will be going into this in more depth. So I'm not going to go into too far depth here, but you get the idea that coming in here and just scattering things out it will cost you a lot of time in the end by rebuilding it constantly. And the other really important part of this is if you're working with a client, or even if you're working with a colleague or your own boss, the best time to do this is early on in the project. So Pro tips here. Everyone pay attention to these pro tips, especially if you work with clients. What we have learned is the best time to talk about your client about the dashboard is really early on. And that's actually not even on my do's and don'ts list, but I ought to add it. It's at the very bottom with something else. But it you really need to talk to them about it early on. What we do is we actually have a conversation very early on in the process. So just going to map this out a little bit easier for you can visually see what I'm talking about is so month one is the audit. Month two, and when we're auditing, that's all things Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, and also their site. Obviously, that's the first thing that gets audited. Month two is our build. So think of our pillars. This is our planning stage, our building stage. And then we go on to our third pillar in our third month, and that is our reporting. And so lots of pro tips coming at you right now. So in our audit stage, we will set those expectations that we want to get on a call with whoever their end user of whoever is going to be using the reports needs to get on a call with us, and we will go through and do this with them. We will find out what is they want to see on their dashboard, and that's going to come up in just a moment with the future do's and don'ts. We don't wait until we're down here in month three when we're starting, we're needing to finalize the dashboard. So this will come up here more in a moment, but I want to make sure that you know that this right when we're starting the process with the client, we are figuring out what we need to do, because that's really going to affect what we're doing here in Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager as well. So let's go on to our next do and don't, and all of this will kind of make a little bit more sense as we go through it. It's a big picture here. All right, so don't start building without a plan, and do map out where you want to go. The next one seems kind of obvious, but don't make the dashboard for you. Do build the dashboard for your end user. So this actually is, again, it kind of seems silly and kind of seems obvious, but there are a lot of people that have different dashboard personalities. We have some clients where they don't want to see any sort of thing that resembles a spreadsheet whatsoever, and they want to see as little numbers as possible. And then we have other clients who don't want to see any sort of color, and it's like literally black and white and a ton of numbers. And it would be, for the majority of people, that type of dashboard would boggle most people's minds. But kind of going back to what we are, this whole concept is, we want to create dashboards that are useful and actionable. We want to make sure they're useful and actionable. So that might be different from person to person. So it might be different for you than it is for the next person. So again, going back to the planning meeting, the dashboard planning meeting that you're having in month one, you're going to go and ask the user, when you're going through this and showing them your screen or wireframing out or having examples, however you want to do it, whatever's your business model, you can ask them like, hey, if we had a table here that had rows and columns of, the different traffic sources, is that something that you would want to see? And they're like, oh no, I don't like anything like that. Can it be a chart? And that's the way you can understand how they want to see it. Usually, more pro tips here for you, usually the questions that will kind of guide us to that is like, hey, do you like seeing your data in a spreadsheet, or do you like charts and graphs and that type of things? Usually you'll get a very clear answer, because if there's people that hate spreadsheets, it'll be a very loud and clear, oh no, I don't want to see anything that looks like a spreadsheet. And you have your answer. You need to make sure it's really visual for them, and the story that you're trying to tell will be very visual, and it's going to be guided by that. If the person is the exact opposite and they love data and they love the numbers and they don't really need all the fancy stuff, then you probably don't necessarily need anything like this. That's going to be a funnel shape. Maybe for somebody else on their team you might, but it may not be on their particular dashboard. So keeping those things in mind. So you have somebody that absolutely despise a spreadsheet on one end. You have people that absolutely love type of spreadsheets and just numbers, no any sort of imagery, and on the other end. And then you have people like Mercer and myself that are kind of in the middle. Mercer and I both thrive in spreadsheets, but we also see the value in being able to get into your dashboard, see very quickly and very visually what's going on so you can take action. Again, going back to the useful and actionable dashboard. That's what we've been going for all this whole time. So that is our second set of don'ts and do. Don't make the dashboard for you. Talk to your end users, whoever they're going to be, and it might be multiple people. You might have to make, you know, dashboard for the C level that is high level and color coded, and then dashboards for maybe the managers and the people who are going to be doing the decisions and adjusting, and those might have more details for them, and that's okay. Make it useful and actionable for whoever is going to be getting the dashboard. And that leads us into our next phase of what you're going to be doing during your planning meeting with them, again, in this very beginning step, this very beginning stage of their audit. So you don't want to assume you know what they want, but you do want to ask the right questions. And so I'm going to briefly mention the KIA method. That's QIA. If you haven't gone through measurement, win your measurement plan, that's another course in the Measurement Marketing Academy. Again, it's win your measurement plan. And this is not quite the cornerstone, but I would say it's really, really close to the cornerstone of all things measurement marketing because, as you know, I have learned it and Mercer's learned it, and we have all these experts that have learned it. This really, really is your guiding light. And that is, what questions do you have, or does your end user have? What information do you need to answer those questions? And what actions can you take? For example, we're going to kind of jump back into Data Studio for this example. Actually, instead of Data Studio, we are going to go into our usage cards. This is where we need to make sure, again, in our planning meeting, that we're asking the right questions. We're not going to assume that we know what they are looking for because they probably know the funnel a little bit better than us. And while we can probably get 80 to 90% there as measurement marketers, we probably know, oh yes, they probably want to know the sales page conversion rate. They probably want to know the cart conversion rate. They want to know the overall conversion rate. But some clients might know their sales page doesn't convert very well, and they want to know more details of why that is. Maybe they have a video on there and they want to know how many people are not watching to the point where when the button reveals itself. And that is very important for you to know at this stage in your, when you're doing your audit and when you're going through, I want to put this as audit and dashboard planning, just to make it super clear. And dashboard planning, because if you learn in month 3, let's pretend you didn't have this dashboard planning meeting, and you learn in month 3 when you're supposed to be delivering your version 1 and then version 2 and version 3 dashboards, which we'll get to that concept in a moment, you are behind, very behind, if they come to and they say, well, I really want to know how many people are watching the video and seeing this element pop. If you don't have element tracking or element visibility tracking or any sort of video tracking or anything like that because you didn't know about it, you didn't build it, and they definitely cannot report on it. And so that means you have to circle back to the build and redo it. Then you have to redo your dashboard again, and you're not delivering what you promised on time. So again, that's why it's so important to have this dashboard planning meeting. And I'm going to circle back real quick to make sure you guys got all that. So you plan, you map out where you want to go, you kind of lay out what your dashboard is going to look like. You talk to your client about it as you're doing it. You find out how they want their information to come across, how they want it to look. Do they want colors or do they not want colors? Do they want it to have columns and rows like tables do, or spreadsheets do, or do they want to avoid it, or they want a mixture of both? And then you ask what questions do they want to know? What do they need to know about their dashboard? Sometimes they don't know, and that is okay, but you need to make sure that you are asking those questions. And if they don't know, that is where you can step in and say, like, and as you're auditing the funnel, make sure that those things like video tracking and scroll tracking and very key elements are being tracked as either element visibilities or clicks and all that stuff. And if I just lost you on all those things that could be tracked, again, those are other courses and other workshop that goes into those details. This particular workshop is just about the dashboard design and how to make sure to deliver useful and actionable dashboards. So that is why it is so important to make sure that we have this planning meeting in month one. So that way, when you get into month two and you're building, you know exactly what you need to build. And then you are also able to deliver a dashboard that is much more useful and actionable to your end user. All right, so let's go on to the last two do's and don'ts. We have two more groups to go through. And this is don't let your user guess and do give context and clarity. And so what this concept is, you give your user a dashboard and there are like, let's see here. Let me see if I can find something that's a good example of this. All right, we're going to come to our handy dandy little Data Studio dashboard again, and we have a step 1 and we have a step 2 and we have our conversion rate. Well, depending on what this funnel is and what it's supposed to do, your end user may or may not know if this 49% is good or not. And that's why your do of this is get context and clarity. So a different version of this is something we've done with our ongoing dashboards is we have in right here, we have a goal, and your goal is always going to be a range, and it's going to be dependent. You might have to kind of guess and adjust along the way, but you got to start somewhere. And so I'm just going to kind of give these numbers to you real quick. So typically a sales page to a cart is typically 8 to 12. That's just, overall traffic, not necessarily warm, not necessarily cold. Cart conversion rate anywhere from 20 to 40%. And then an overall funnel is 1 to 3. Obviously, ranges will be higher if it's warm traffic and a little bit lower or on the lower end if it's cold traffic. This is not a lesson on conversion rates and optimization. It's just giving context. So that way, even without the color coding, which is another clarity part, the user would know, oh, where do I need to fix my funnel? See, I'm at the lower end of my range. So where could I fix it? Oh, it looks like my offer page or my sales page to cart is slightly below where I want it to be. So let me go dig deeper into my offer page and fix that. Again, a useful and actionable dashboard. You don't want to have to sift through, dozens and dozens of rows and figure out what's going on and have to do math and look at a spreadsheet and all that stuff. Even though I love spreadsheets, don't get me wrong, I love my spreadsheets, but I don't want to have to spend my time doing that. We like being able to come in here and have these conditionally formatted in a way where it's very easy to tell the story of what's going on, and be able to take that action and take it to our marketing team and say, hey, this is what's going on. Help us fix this. And, we have other things that take us a little bit deeper. We have very clear tracking that's going on our offer page that guide us for that as well. And if you have questions about the conditional formatting and all that, there will be a future workshop where we will teach you how to do conditional formatting as well, which will be super fun to do because it's not just going to be colors, it's going to be emojis and symbols too, which will be really fun to play with. So let's go back to our last set. So we have don't let your users guess. Don't let them try to figure it out if it's good or it's bad or what's going on. You give them context and clarity. You give them give them that range. It goes back to our 5 pillars. So we have our planning, we have our building, we have our reporting, now we have our forecasting. That context, that forecast right here, this goal is part of our forecasting. And then being able to take action on this step right here because it's, or this particular portion because it's not converting right, that's the optimization. So that's where all these 5 pillars are coming into play. Now, everyone, I want you guys to all pay attention real quick because I'm getting to the absolute most important set of don'ts and do's and don'ts when it comes to dashboard design. It's not just dashboard design, it's dashboards overall. And that is don't wait for perfection to deliver. Do not do that. You will end up making your client frustrated. You will end up making yourself frustrated. And so the opposite of that is do good enough to get better, or excuse me, do good enough to get going, then come back and make it better. Something we say all the time around here. So it's get good enough to get going, then come back and make it better. And what that means is, and true story, we've had a client or two that's asking for super awesome, pretty cool stuff with their dashboards. And I'll come back over here to our Lucid chart. So this was before we figured out dashboard planning and all that fun stuff. And they wanted us to build all kind of super duper awesome cool stuff. And so we got, and then they wanted those things reported on. So what we did was basically get stuck in the building phase and couldn't really move on to the reporting phase because we were trying to do all the super duper awesome cool stuff that they wanted us to do, which was fine. But now that we know what we know, and we have this idea, this concept of get good enough to get going, then come back and make it better. We know more about client management. We know more about setting those expectations. So knowing what we know now, what we would do now is say, hey, that's so awesome, client A, client Joe. So it's so great that you want to be able to do these super awesome, neat, cool things. We can't wait to do that with you. So because this is such a more extensive build and we want to give you something that's going to be actionable and something that is more useful right now in the moment, we want to be able to deliver this version 1 dashboard. It's kind of what we talked about earlier, version 1, version 2, version 3. We want to deliver this version 1 dashboard to you first. And that will be, and that's what you would go through in your planning meeting. And that will look like this. And that's where you talk through, okay, we'll have your funnel conversion rate, kind of know what you're able to deliver. You have your funnel conversion rate. We'll know what traffic source is doing that. We'll work with your team on UTMs or, whatever it is that your services offer. And you'll have the version 1. Then version 2, we'll talk with you we'll get with you on a call in the first week of month 3, and we'll go through what needs to be changed, and that will be version 2. Then on version 3, we'll have the first part of these super duper awesome cool changes. And we'll go through those. And then maybe it's version, 5 or 6 where they get everything that they want. And so that's where you're able to set those expectations. That way you are not frustrated and overwhelmed. Your client isn't frustrated and disappointed and feeling like they're wasting their money and not getting what they are asking for. And it's a better overall experience for everyone involved. So it all goes back to when you're talking to your client, you're going through the very beginning stages before you start your build, before you even start thinking about, building a dashboard. You have to go through and you have to have a dashboard planning meeting. Let me add this in here. And dashboard planning And you have to go through these do's and your don'ts. I want to go through one more time with everybody. Obviously, remember our 5 pillars of measurement marketing. You have to start with your plan. You map out where you want to go. You build it into a Lucidchart or chart it out. You need to make sure you build a dashboard for your end user. You ask the questions that it's going to help you understand if they like charts or they don't like charts. Do they want color? Do they don't want color? You know, what's it going to be? How is it going to be useful for them? Because nothing is going to be, it's not going to be good for anybody if you build a dashboard that the client cannot use. And that's what we want to avoid. You also are going to ask them the right questions. You want to make sure that you are going to put the actionable information on their dashboard that they are looking for. Don't assume that it's just straight funnel conversion rates and that's all they want to know. They might have a very particular question that might require you to do a very special build, and you need to know that information very quickly in the process. So make sure you ask those right questions immediately when you're getting started on a project. And then obviously you don't want to let your user guess. You want to make sure you give context and clarity. So that's where you can use your forecasting so you can optimize. All those 5 pillars of measurement marketing come into play when we're doing our dashboards. And finally, get good enough to get going and then come back and make it better. It's all about setting those expectations with your clients, managing what they are expecting, and having that good communication with them so everyone is getting what they want, and it's a great experience for everybody because we want to be able to, what was it? Have useful and actionable dashboards. So I'm gonna let Mercer take it away. If you guys have any questions, back there in the members site, ready to answer those questions for you. Thank you very much, and I'll let Mercer take it away. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. That is exactly the sort of tips that I wish I had had when I first started this entire thing. Now, think about your one thing, right? What was the thing that you're now going, okay, well, this is the thing I can take some action on. I will give you, again, Julie's already emphasized this, but just to double tap on this one particular thing, like this, the idea of planning is where we most improved. The better we got at planning, the more we used Kia, the question we're trying to answer, the information we need to collect the answers, what actions will they take based upon the answers, and doing the whiteboarding of the dashboard. So like Julie was showing you how we do it with Lucidchart. You can do it with a PowerPoint slide. You can do it with a piece of paper. Like you can kind of map out roughly, kind of wireframing out what that whiteboard or what the dashboard is going to look like. And that solves so many problems because the clients go, yeah, I kind of like that. Or actually, no, could you make it do this instead? And you can do it with a piece of paper and erase stuff or do it on a whiteboard or whatever the thing is that you want to do to really give them a dashboard that they're going to use and that they're going to enjoy. So there's lots of things in there. Again, go back, take one thing, practice that, and then come back and you can actually add more new one things as you watch this again, as you get a little bit of practice with your dashboards. Of course, if you want more of these workshops, it's pretty simple. An upcoming workshop actually is going to be how to get cart value and revenue from your pages. Now, this is a beyond basics topic, this next workshop. So using Tag Manager to grab value. Sometimes you need to do that to pass the e-commerce and everything else. So we'll show you how to do that stuff. And if you want to see that and other workshops we do here at Workshop Wednesday for the measurementmarketing.io channel, all you need to do is subscribe. So go ahead and take a moment to go ahead and do that right now to make sure that you get notified. In addition to subscribing, I would highly recommend you become a Toolbox member if you are not already. Yes, these workshops are back there, so you can take a look at the most recent Workshop Wednesday, but there's all these tools back there, including one which is not on this list, but is back there, which is the Dashboard Toolkit. So we have an entire Dashboard Toolkit that's got Demo Data Studio dashboards. There's lots of tips, design hierarchy stuff, things we didn't even talk about today that are back there. So take advantage of the tools that are back there. It is completely free. It's kind of our gift for, helping build the community. The Measurement Marketing Toolbox is completely free. Just go to measure.tips/ww to create your account, and you'll have access to all of those tools. So, and it's, again, unlimited access. So you can use them for what you'd like. And again, look for the Dashboard Toolkit because that is back there for you as well. Now, If you're an Academy member and you have questions on this, of course, Win Google Data Studio Basics has got a lot of stuff in the Basics course. We have a Win Google Data Studio Beyond Basics, where you go into some more advanced tactical things in terms of using Data Studio to get some incredible looking designs. So, make sure you watch those. But as you have questions for your Data Studio reports, remember, just use Ask an Instructor support. It's back there. Send us videos and screenshots. Our instructors, including Julie, send back videos and screenshots back to you with very specific answers so you can get unstuck and on the way. Just part of why you're an Academy member. And again, thank you for being part of the Measurement Marketing Academy. If you are not yet a part of the Measurement Marketing Academy and you're interested in learning this stuff, and this is just going to be your job, and you want to really improve your skills, whether it's for your own company, for clients, maybe you're a traffic agency trying to figure out how to better tell your story. Maybe you're working in a larger organization and you're trying to make things better for your boss or your team. Join the Academy. Measure.tip/Get Academy. It is the absolute best place. It comes with a ton of support, all the different courses you will ever need, from strategy to analytics to tag manager and beyond. So reporting, everything. Data Studio, there's a ton back there, and more every month. We keep adding new courses and updating older ones. So you're always getting the latest, freshest stuff, including Google Analytics 4, which is kind of the new kid on the block. So take advantage of that. Measure.tip/Get Academy will take you directly to the Measurement Marketing Academy page so you can learn more about the Measurement Marketing Academy. And with that, we'll go ahead and bring this one officially to a close. You've just watched Getting Started, the do's and don'ts of dashboard design. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.